Hey Ray, Dave here. Hope you're having an awesome day. So I've been working on my Lunkhead Bob here, and I've been doing a couple of spin-offs of last couple builds, and I was looking at this vintage MadBalls. I don't know if you remember MadBalls, but as a kid, these were insanely desirable. And I thought, can I make a Lunkhead Bob MadBall? Let's try it. Alright, so here's my inspiration, and in all fairness, I think this is probably a bootleg MadBall because I believe MadBalls were like foam. But I did figure out the size of the original MadBalls, and I found this paper mache ornament at my local hobby store, and I thought this might be perfect as a base. Now for Lunkhead Bob, I was thinking I probably am not going to put the ears, I'll just do the eyes and the mouth, the front of the face there. And I'm cheating just a tiny bit, so don't get mad at me, but I did 3D print one of the hats because I already have the 3D file for that. That should be pretty easy. I did make these two half spheres thinking maybe those would work as eyeballs. I didn't end up really liking them in the end, so we'll figure something else out. Just doing a quick fit check on this hat, and I'm going to have to do quite a bit of sanding on this hat. You can see it's pretty rough, but we'll deal with that later. So for this build, I'm going to use Super Sculpey. You bake this in the oven. And I started coating this, and I thought, wait a minute, if I got the hat on, I might be able to save some Super Sculpey, and I don't really have to fill it all the way up. So I'd made a little line there, and then I'm going to go ahead and fill out the rest of this. And as I'm doing that, I'm thinking I'm going to try and get this as smooth as possible. Taking a toothpick here, and I'm kind of scribing where I think the eyes should go. I'm just eyeballing this. Oh, boy. And I'll take an X-Acto knife, and I'm going to cut out this little plug because I was thinking I want the eyes to kind of come out of this little shape here. So I'm using the other plug to measure. So I got two holes exact same size. And as I was cutting these out, I was thinking, instead of using like a wooden sphere and cutting it in half and trying to mess with that, I just took some Super Sculpey. I made like a small little dome and actually just plugged it right on top of the spheres that I cut out. These spheres are the perfect size, so I know they're going to plug right in. So I'm just giving a little test run really quick. And they're not perfectly smooth yet, but I'll be able to sand these out at the end. So plugging in the second eye here, and I think that's going to work. So this is good because I was kind of worried how to cut those half spheres and a wooden sphere in half. I don't really like doing that. So putting on the little nose piece here. Now, Lunkhead Bob has a little kind of turned up nose, so I'm going to go ahead and just blend this in. Remember, in sculpting, a lot of times the beginning stage looks pretty ugly, so don't worry about it because you can go back and smooth everything out, and I'll continue to smooth and smooth as I go. Taking the end of a paintbrush here just to push his nostrils in, and I'm not using any high-tech tools really. I do need to purchase some new sculpting tools. A couple of you had given me some good suggestions, so I'm going to look into those. I rolled out a clay for a snake for the mouth, and as soon as I put it on, I was like, yikes, that is way too big. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that back off. I cut out a good chunk of the middle, pieced it back together. Now I've got the mouth about the size that I want it. I don't love how thick it's sticking out. I want to trim that down a little bit. So I thought, well, do I just take my X-Acto blade and just kind of try and cut it in half? And I was like, I don't love that idea. So I thought, I got an idea. Maybe if I take this popsicle stick and it gives me a certain height and I tape a razor blade onto it, could I just run that smoothly across the table and cut halfway through? So of course you'll see here, I'm using an old janky blade, which was kind of dumb on my part because it actually kind of worked. When I say kind of, it wasn't perfect, but I knew this wasn't right. So I went ahead, ran to my garage, got a brand new blade, swapped out the blades. And as I was cutting, I don't know, like it kept running up on me and it would, I don't know, it kind of worked. If you got a suggestion on how to cut something in half perfectly, clay that's all smushy, let me know. Anyways, I'm kind of shaping out the lips here. And I want the mouth to be sunk in because I'm going to do some teeth. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. And then after I pull this out, I'm going to do a thin layer of clay just to cover the paper mache ball. So you'll see here, I just peeled that out. You can see the paper mache ball. I just did a really thin layer of clay, blending that all in, and now I've got a nice step in for the teeth to go in. Putting the lips back on, getting them lined up. I'll get these all blended in. For the teeth, I just rolled kind of a half ball. No, I rolled a ball and then smashed it on the table and then cut it in half. And that worked out pretty nice for me. Did the top teeth, the bottom teeth. And then with MadBalls, they oftentimes had these huge scars coming across the side of their face. So I thought that might be kind of cool to run one there and maybe one under his cheekbone on the eye socket there. So I baked the eyes. I just used the end of a paintbrush to make those little pupils. And I'm sanding first with 240, then I jumped to 400, and then I just jumped to 1200. Some people would do 600 and then 1200, but this seems to work for me because I am going to prime everything with a filler primer. Now remember, the eyes are baked, but the head is still soft clay. So I'm able to kind of smash these in, move them around as needed. Then I rolled a little snake, and I'm going to do some little wrinkles around the eyeball itself. And this is going to kind of help blend everything in together. So just trimming that off, and then I'll take a sculpting tool and kind of smash it down. Again, it's going to look a little rough right now because I'm just connecting clay to clay. And then I'm going to come back in and smooth everything out later. Lunkhead Bob has these kind of wrinkles under his eyes as well, so I'm going to add just another little tiny snake, blend that in. I did the same for the other eye. Now Lunkhead Bob does have like a little chin, so I added that. And then I'm going to take some mineral spirits, a little paint thinner, and with Super Sculpey, paint thinner mineral spirits actually kind of softens the clay and actually blends out a lot of my blemishes. So I had smoothed with my finger and then kind of got it there. You can see it looks pretty nice. Now I want to cut in some sores in his mouth because he's kind of a zombie rotting MadBall kind of thing. So I just took the knife and made a cute little cut there. And then I'm taking a toothpick to kind of roughen it up just a little bit. And I'll do the same on the bottom lip there. So I've got some ideas. I want to try maybe some resin, maybe something oozing out of his mouth or something. I don't know. We'll figure that out later. I wanted to add another little gouge. Maybe he's got the stitches. He'll have stitches coming down, but maybe there's like an open wound kind of on the side there. So just kind of poking at that. Then I'm going to make the stitches. I just rolled this so each stitch would be consistently the same shape. And then I just took a razor blade and chopped off a whole bunch. I actually cut more than I needed, but it was fine because I'm just going to drop them on. And you can see here, I'm just kind of pushing them on. And I'll go all the way down. And then I'll just carefully blend them in just so they look like, I could have poked little holes, but I think this looks great. So I baked it. This is now all hard. And I'm going to go ahead and give it a sand down because I do want it to be as smooth as possible. And then once I got it sanded, I did a filler primer, and then I did a white base. I did the white base so I would have some really clean eyes and teeth. Now the hat, I do need to work on this. This is probably my least favorite part of this whole build is just cleaning up 3D prints. I hate cleaning up 3D prints, but it is so worth taking the time to do it because, look at that. Now for the eyes, I did mask off. And in order to do the spheres, what I do is I cut little slivers and I just work my way all the way around the eye. It's something I've been doing for a while and it seems to work. This is just for you geeks out there that love to watch masking tape come off of a paint job. It is so rewarding. Again, it's just like Christmas morning. So I'm peeling off the masking tape here. I did get a little bit of overspray, but I'm not super worried about that because it'll be easier to paint just a couple little areas white than trying to paint the whole eyeball white. You can see there I masked off the mouth. There's the little overspray that I was talking about, but again, that's not going to be a huge issue. All right, so I'm looking at this thing. It's looking great. I need to start figuring out the final paint job. So first, I'm going to fill in the black area inside the mouth. It's such a tight area. I did hit the teeth a couple times. I had to repaint the teeth white back and forth, but nothing major. So a little time lapse of filling in the black. And then the lips. For Lunkhead Bob, I've been using the same color combo. And I don't remember what that teal color is, but that's essentially Lunkhead Bob's colorway. And then I had this idea, what if I took this kind of tannish brown color and added it to the cut part, almost like the flesh is rotting just a little tiny bit. And then I thought, oh, it might be kind of fun to grunge them up all over the place. And you can see I'm kind of dry brushing this, but then I got a little bit more comfortable and I added a little bit of water to it, and it was a little bit more of a wash. And so I always like to sneak up on these projects. I start out really carefully, and then the more comfortable I get, I can start loosening up and then laying it on. And now you can see I'm just getting crazy here. Taking the paper towel, wiping it off. Then I took some red, and I'm going to start touching up these little sores, and I'll do all the way down the cut itself. A couple little red spots in the sore on the lip. And this is looking really cool. And then I was like, this is a little bit of a risk, but I want to try that brown in the eye just to kind of fog out his eye a little bit and give him it was too crisp and clean, and I think it worked out really nice. And then I thought maybe he needs veins, like bloodshot eyes. So I carefully went in with a super fine tip brush and started working in the veins. And then, just like I did the brown wash, I thought, if I do a red wash, it may leave like this little kind of haze of red, and I think it turned out really nice. It gave me a nice gradation of this kind of bloodshot eye. I'm going to go ahead and just take some simple black, fill in the pupils, and you can see the difference there. It looks great. And I'll just do one little hit in the nostril just to kind of push those nostrils back a little bit, make them nice and dark. For the sore, I added a little bit of pink color in there, but I'm just dabbing it because I don't mind if some of the teal comes through and then some of that red. Now, here's kind of my idea. I took some UV resin and a tiny bit of neon green, mixed it up, and then I'm going to have this kind of oozing out, maybe like it's a sore that's oozing or something. So watch this. This is great. I'm going to build it up. Because it's UV resin, I'm going to have my UV flashlight here, and I'm loading up just enough that I feel like it's going to be able to drip, and then I tilted it, and as it was dripping, boom, I nailed it with the UV light and like captured it in mid-fall. It's so great. It's so perfect. I was really excited about how that turned out. I'll add a little bit more up in the upper lip, and that is just a really nice touch. As I was putting the hat on, I was looking at the head itself, and I was thinking, you know what? I might do a little tiny Easter egg for those of you that watch all the way through. And this is just my weird sense of humor, but the papier-mâché ball meeting the clay kind of looked like a little brain. So I was like, that's kind of funny. That will just be for us to know. So yeah, I'm just painting that out. And then I think what I'm going to do is add just a little bit of gloss to the lips. And I'm just using this high gloss acrylic. It dries super fast. And then I'll add a little bit to the eyes as well. And since I have this out, I'm kind of just looking around and thinking, well, I got enough poured out on my little paper there. I can do the brain and then add a little into the sore. Oh, that is really kind of juicing that up. Looks delicious. We'll paint out the stitches, and I'm getting really close to the home stretch here. I think I'm going to weather up this hat, and then once I get a little bit of weathering on this hat and feel it's about where I want it, I think I'm going to call this one done. All right, this was one of those builds, like everything just came together really nicely, and I didn't run into a lot of troubles. I think he turned out really cool, and then we've got our little surprise for those who don't watch all the way to the end of that fast forward. They may never see that little Easter egg, so I think he turned out great. MadBalls, Lunkhead Bob. Let's do some turnaround shots of this thing, and as always, it is a great day to be a toy nerd. Have a great one.